You've made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. This episode is brought to you by Peach State Payments. Ethical processing, more profit, less stress. Chiro HD, more than an EHR. Projects management simplified. The Chiro Speaking Company. Attract, educate, and convert. Chiro Spring, cloud-based, user-friendly software with all the essential features chiropractors need. Redmond Relight. The IFCO. Chiro Moguls. Chiro Health USA. Sherman College of Chiropractic. Pure Chiro Notes, Titronics, and Life West College of Chiropractic. Let's hustle. This episode of Chiro Hustle is brought to you by Relight Hydration by Redmond. Here's the truth. Most Americans are walking around dehydrated, low energy, brain fog, muscle cramps, headaches, and they think they need more caffeine, when what they actually need are electrolytes. Hydration isn't just water. It's sodium, potassium, and trace minerals that help your body actually absorb and use the water. That's where Relight comes in. Made with Redmond real salt. No artificial junk, no neon dyes, no sugar overload, just clean, balanced electrolytes designed to support hydration, muscle function, and optimal daily performance. And here's the best part. Grab their sample pack with multiple flavors so you can find your favorite. Once you dial it in, it's an easy daily habit you'll stick with for life. Chiropractors understand this. The nervous system runs on electrical signals. Electrolytes help support that communication. If you're tired or feeling drained by 2 p.m., this is your upgrade. Go to chirohustle.com and get 25% off Relight with our exclusive promo. If you want a wholesale Redmond products, see the show notes for the wholesale application. Hydrate smarter, perform better, stay aligned.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 784 of the Chiro Hustle Podcast. I'm your producer, Luke Millette, and here's your host, James Chester.
So today we have the opportunity of interviewing Dr. Jay Shetlin. If you want to hear a conversation about international living and practice and authoring books, stay tuned for the full episode. Welcome back. This is another episode of the Chiro Hustle Podcast. Today I have Dr. Jay Shetlin on with me. If you can see over his shoulder, it says Whiplash Group. So we're going to talk some things about recovery, but we're really going to talk about more than that. We're going to talk about international living and practice, which I think is a really cool topic that he has some experience with. Injuries with families and car crashes. I think that that's a really important thing to talk about. Not many people get a chance to be able to have that conversation about how the dynamics of an accident affect smaller people. And then we're going to be able to talk a little bit about him being an author and some of the books he's done. But before we get into episode 784, I let you know our big why. Why do we do what we do at Chiro Hustle? First things first is preserving freedom of speech. We think it's vital to the future of chiropractic. We also believe in medical freedom and family health freedom. If you need any resources in that, find a chiropractor in your neck of the woods. We also are philosophically sound as a show. We believe in protecting B.J. Palmer's last written words. It's called the Sacred Trust. If you don't know what that is, go to the show notes at chirohustle.com. Click on that link. You'll learn more about chiropractic than you did previously. I guarantee you could be practicing for 30 or 40 years. Maybe if you read about the Sacred Trust, you'll fall even deeper in love with this profession. We also support subluxation-based chiropractic. I know I shouldn't have to say this, but they're removing that from the education at some of these colleges, and the kids aren't getting education about subluxation. They're dialing it up and chalking it up as antiquated and not necessary for the future of chiropractic. And I'm 100% against that. So if you know a chiropractic student or a new grad within the past decade, please share the show with them so they get real deal philosophy coming to them from these episodes. And then lastly, we do believe in innate intelligence and educated intelligence and the universal intelligence. We believe that when man or woman, the physical gets adjusted, it connects them to man or woman, the spiritual, which creates the educated intelligence. And with that being said, this is Dr. Jay Shetlin, episode 784. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, man. I'm so grateful, James, to be here with such a philosophically sound-based show, man. That's awesome.
Well, sometimes people don't know how to really connect with me when they meet me in person, because they're like, you're the philosophy guy. And I'm like, no, I believe in the philosophy of chiropractic, but I'll tell you, I do hyperbaric chamber, I do IV hydration, I do red light therapy, I do saunas, I do cold plunges.
Mhm.
Like I do a lot of other things outside of banging the drum for chiropractic philosophy. But in this show, I believe if we don't stay true to the tenets of the profession, then we talk about all kinds of other stuff that doesn't involve the philosophy of chiropractic, and people aren't getting it. So we have to give it to them.
Got to give it to them.
So your story, man, you said that you were looking forward to sharing this part in today's interview. Tell us about your chiropractic story. How did you get into this beautiful profession?
Yeah, it's a funny trail that started really early. I've wanted to be a chiropractor since the 5th grade. And I first got into health and fitness in the 4th grade. I was actually electrocuted up in Spokane, Washington, which is where we're having a whiplash group seminar here in just a month or so. We're going back to the roots there where it all started for me. But yeah, there's a little train car up there in the river park that's amazing, just a gorgeous park in the downtown Spokane area. And I'd hold the back of it where the little caboose was, it said, "Don't touch." But I'm like, "Hey, look, Mom, I'm touching." And I got electrocuted. And in my 4th grade mind, I thought, oh my gosh, I've been gamma rayed. Because the biggest thing on TV for me in my little 4th grade world was Lou Ferrigno as the Incredible Hulk. Of course, all real, no CG muscles. The guy was a machine. And I thought, man, if I'm going to be buff when I'm angry as a little 4th grade kid, I'll be even more buff when I'm angry if I'm already doing push-ups and chin-ups. So it started my whole health and fitness. And I would do 240 push-ups a day in the 4th grade. I was a nut. I'd do them like sets of 4 or whatever. Well, the next year, my mom got in a car crash. And I remember going with her to the chiropractor. I don't remember what the chiropractor looks like. I just remember sitting in the room while my mom would go back, get adjusted, come out, and she looked me in the eye and she goes, all the things I'm doing, trying to get better from this crash, this is helping me the most. And it just flipped a switch in my head. I'm like, I want to help people. No drugs, no needles, no surgery. I think I want to be a chiropractor. And I just stayed that course, and I just plowed away till Dr. Ted Conger from Salt Lake City sent me off to Palmer College in my college years. It's awesome.
How did you pick Palmer out of all schools?
So I was looking at a bunch of schools, and they're all good. They all get you through your boards. But Ted made a really good point. He says, they all cost the same. Why not go to the one that's the fountainhead? If you can go to Salt Lake Community College or you go to the U of U and they cost the same, why wouldn't you go to the U of U? And I thought, well, and I'm not putting any other schools down, but it resonated for me. It's like, well, I'd rather pay the price for a few years and live in a small town like Davenport, Iowa, to have that richness of philosophy and culture and stuff of it. So that's what I did. As I've, now in my older years and going to Parker and all these other colleges, I visited them all. I used to have a business called Lifetimer Tables. If you remember those tables, I used to travel to all the campuses, and they all have some great, good, they all got the juice, but Ted sent me there and I thought, man, that makes sense. So there I went.
Really cool. It's like living in an old book going to Palmer, right?
It's a good description.
I went for 4 years and lived in an old book.
Yeah.
But they are modernizing the campus over there pretty nice. So it looks pretty sweet.
Yeah.
After school, you got a chance to practice abroad and do some international living. Talk to us about that a little bit.
Yeah. One of my mentors, where I did my preceptorship, he was a Palmer grad, and I was talking to him, and he had a high volume practice. That guy was knocking out 500 plus a week. And I'm just coming out of school going, wow, what is happening? I can't believe the volume you're seeing here. And yet you still seem to have a good contact and touch with your patients. Like, well, what successful tip would you have for me in starting my practice in a few months? He goes, go to Parker, Las Vegas every year. Learn from people that go and give back to the profession. Because a lot of the speakers that are there, they gleaned their success from the philosophically deep enrichment of chiropractic and business that came from the Parker seminars. And they went and succeeded. And then they gave their time and came back for free to teach it at those. And I love that model. And that was just awesome. Well, while I was, so I'm doing that. I'm doing my practice here in St. George, Southern Utah. And I went over to Greece for an international chiropractic convention for Lifetimer Tables. I was promoting my table company over there in Europe for doctors. And a guy across the way from me had a booth, and he's showing this video of his office with high volume adjusting and using the Platinum software that I was using in my office at the time. And I'm like, what are you doing here? His name was Dr. Hatch, and he was on the board for Parker. He was flying out to Vegas every year because he was their outside of the U.S. kind of compadre for the board. And he says, yeah, we're just looking for associates. We keep getting these docs that come over and work for a couple months, go surfing, and then they just bail and abandon patients. So I'm like, well, that's horrible. We're not supposed to just ditch patients. We got to let them know when we're leaving or something. He goes, we've been just praying about how to find the right associate that's got that stick-to-itivity to work with us for a few years while we're expanding multiple practices. He really wanted to franchise through Portugal. Now, think of this. Portugal is to Europe. It's on the west side of Spain, kind of like California is to the west side of Nevada or something in the U.S. Similar size. There are 10,000 chiropractors in California between the schools and the students and the doctors. I was the 23rd chiropractor in the entire country of Portugal. The volume of people we would see was huge, and what they knew about chiropractic was what we taught them about chiropractic. And it was beautiful to see the lights switch on and these patients that would come in. And, if we tell them we did care plans a month or 90 days or a year, insurance didn't cover it at all. And they had a different philosophy of health, unfortunately. And this is unfortunately the sad side of American philosophy of healthcare, which of course is Patrick Gentempo says, when we take disease care and we label it healthcare and we sell it to a nation, we can't help but have a sick nation. In Portugal, people go, well, I don't live paycheck to paycheck. They actually save their money rather than using their credit cards, much like we do in America. And they're like, this is what I need, 90 days, a year, whatever. I will go borrow it out. I will go get it out of my bank account, and I will come pay for my care, and I will follow through with my care plan. Where in America, the saddest words I ever hear is, if my insurance doesn't cover it, I can't afford it. Why did you give the power of your health away to some third-party business entity? And so it was a really interesting experience to see. It was the dream practice. Dr. Hatch had it dialed in with 3.5 days a week. We worked from 7 a.m. till 2 p.m. We'd see 180 people in a day. They just loved it. And it was just super referral based. It was amazing. So I love, in the personal injury world, that's a whole different world that we'll talk about in a minute. But I love how chiropractic in that high volume, chiropractic's beautiful. Once you get your degree, you can find your niche or specialty, and you can just go gangbusters in all kinds of different directions. But like you say, philosophically, we want to stay grounded to that. The subluxation and freeing up that nerve flow, that's our bread and butter, doctors. That is where it's at in chiropractic. And then if you want to add icing on the cake, go to town. But chiropractic is awesome. It works, and it works all around the world.
That kind of takes us to the next evolution of the interview. Is I know you wanted to talk to the message to students, and you wanted to talk to them about plugging in and coaching and mentorship. So what advice would you give to students about their careers a little bit, and why it's important for them to plug into different organizations?
Yeah, I love that, because as students, we just are bathed in this. At school, we've got philosophy, we got science, we got clubs. We've just got a network of relationships that lift us up and let us lift others up. And then when we go out, we don't get a lot of business at school. And it's not the job of the school to give us business knowledge, nor can it really. We kind of have to have some boots on the ground. We have to be in the trenches, and then maybe have a mentor or a coach that can help us save time and money to get ahead quicker. But it's hard to teach that at school. But a lot of docs go out and they just become an island. They don't attach to they're not checking in with their association for the state when they move into the state. They look at their neighboring chiropractors as competition instead of co-opetition. We only serve 10% of the population. There's plenty of business out there for all of us if we're just all working with each other to help educate the public into our office or a neighboring office. We don't want to get into that stinking thinking of scarcity. We want to make sure we stay abundant thinking. And the best way to do that is rub elbows with like-minded people. And your association is designed to protect you. They've done the heavy lifting of making sure the legislation is done right, so you can practice freely the way that you want with your different various techniques and styles, like acupuncture or whatever you decide you want to add to your practice. They've done the heavy lifting. You're out of balance with the law of reciprocity in the universe if you're not plugging in and being a dues paying member, which usually it's free or cheap the first couple of years, to be connecting and giving back to that institution that has paved the way for you to be able to practice what you want. And then, of course, those relationships, you build up relationships. You love going to your seminars every year, your state convention, and meeting up with old friends from school or that helped you as an intern when you were younger or something. That's very important. And I love to use this example, and please tune in on this. When you look at something like a professional sport, whether it's Tiger Woods in golf or
Michael Jordan in basketball.
Yeah, thank you. Michael Jordan in basketball, best basketball player of all times as far as we know to date currently. He never reached a point in his career. It's like, I got it all figured out. I don't need a coach. He had a coach till the day he retired, someone to help him see his blind spots and just fine tune and launch forward and always be his best. I would really encourage you to plug in, one, with your state association, two, with a mentor. And a lot of mentors, a lot of successful doctors in your states are willing to mentor for free and help you get your legs under you professionally and get the business going, or at least hire a coach. It's not an expense. Well, it's an expense, but it's an investment in yourself. You're your number one best investment. You spent so much on school. I have to admit, I have spent way more on coaches over the course of my career than I did on my actual chiropractic college education. But I wanted to shorten the time for me to launch forward faster rather than fail forward so many times in slow motion on my own. So that's some of the best advice I could give you students is just, man, plug into your association, get a mentor, maybe even plug in with some coaches through the course of your career.
So I guess that kind of organically brings us to a question that I've sent over to you about your mentors. Mm-hmm. Who are some of the people that have helped mentor you to become the doctor that you are today?
Yeah, Dr. Jim Van Sluten that I did my internship with. Great guy. I get all choked up just thinking about mentors. I mean, these are people that you look back in life, you're like so grateful. And gratitude is just such a good fuel for life. So people I'm just grateful beyond. It's oozing out of my skin right now. I'm so grateful for some of these. So yeah, Dr. Van Sluten, he's the one that told me to go to Parker, Las Vegas every year. I have for 26 years. Even when I practiced in Portugal, flew back over here twice to go to Las Vegas. That committed. James Sigafus, that guy was such a philosophy machine. Saw him so many times at Parker in Vegas, and I just love the way he thinks. He would make fun of those icing on the cake things you were talking about earlier that are all beneficial, but the heart of chiropractic is that adjustment. He was big into that. Dr. Fab Mancini, sorry. I get too choked up on these people. I'm just so grateful. Fab Mancini, CJ Mertz. I think he's one of the best coaches in business and chiropractic because he's so philosophically grounded. And some people say, "Oh, it's from the '80s." The stuff he's doing. Psychology, human psychology is human psychology, and he has got it dialed in on how to educate people to choose chiropractic as a lifestyle. Awesome stuff. And then, of course, Ted Gonger from Salt Lake, who helped nurture me on my way to get to chiropractic college.
No, I mean, I think it's valuable to have an emotional resonance with people that have poured into us and have helped us become who we are today. I have to be thankful also to Fred Schofield. Fred Schofield was the first guy to teach me what chiropractic philosophy was 18 years ago. He's like, you have all the ability to help this profession. And I was like, well, I don't know anything about the profession. I was making a documentary on Palmer Rugby. And I interviewed him, and we sat there for 2 hours just talking. And that was the night that it came clear to me that I was going to go forward and do work for chiropractic for the rest of my life.
Wow, that's so cool.
Yeah, I mean, it is important to recognize the people that have put their touch on us and given us the knowledge, skill, and the belief. And I think that that's a big part about why we do the shows. It does give people that touch of belief, that when you believe in something as much as you do. I had this potential sponsor reach out to me, and he's like, I listened to your show. And he goes, you have so much conviction of telling people that if we don't tell them the truth about chiropractic, someone else will close them for drugs or surgery. He goes, that will always stick with me.
Yeah. And
he goes, the things that I believe are just like you. He's like, but you say it differently and it delivers differently and people hear it differently. He goes, if I said it, it might not stick with people the way you say it. And I go, because I've said it 10,000 times.
Yeah.
And I think that that's the truth about this show is when you say something over and over, it becomes a mantra. Yeah. And I don't have to remember my introduction because I say it so many times that I know it's always going to land, but I have to make sure that I give it about 2 minutes because if they don't listen to the rest of the show with us, Jay, at least that front load of content that they get for those first 2 minutes is going to build their curiosity into what is chiropractic.
Yeah, I love the philosophy. And I would love to share a story, if you don't mind, on one of my stories with chiropractic, because I believe it through and through. And I'm also one that believes in, and pardon my puffy eyes, is not just getting emotional with my mentors. The allergies are killing me down here. But one of the things that I love about truth is when we have multiple examples showing it. It's not by two or more witnesses is how the scriptures say it. But I had my fourth child was actually born with meningitis, which is a bacterial infection around your brain and spinal cord. And I love sharing this story. I love sharing it from the stage. I'm going to really abridge it here. But 2 days old, meningitis, almost died. The bacterial fighting the antibiotics helped save his life. Those things were really, really strong. They were so strong, in fact, that the side effects on the bottle said may cause permanent deafness, may cause motor neurological problems known as cerebral palsy, may cause kidney disease. Well, he ended up with cerebral palsy as the side effect of trying to save his life with these antibiotics to save him from this meningitis, because he would have died within 48 hours. We were like 36 hours when we got him into the hospital, and it's like, man, we don't even know which we don't have time to test which bacteria it is. We've got to just throw everything at it. So luckily he made it. He was definitely off, extension dominant, eyes rolled in his head, all kinds of problems. And I took him to the pediatrician, because I don't care how philosophically grounded you are. When it's your own kid, you lose your marbles when your kid has problems going on. And I wasn't thinking doctorally. I was thinking very daddy-ish. What can you do for my kid? What can you do for my kid? I felt it was outside of my wheelhouse, out of my scope. I didn't know what to do for him. We go in for the well baby check on 2 months. And by this time, I'm starting to think, there's got to be something I can do for this kid. But this is where it flipped the switch. And again, I'm not opposed to surgery. I'm not opposed to pharmaceutical stuff when necessary, but chiropractic first, always. And the power that made the body heals the body. And we got to get the right nutrition in and keep toxins out so our body can self-regulate better. Well, where it flipped the switch, I take him in for his wellness check, and the doctor's checking him out and says, hey, look, I hate to break the bad news. Luckily, he did survive, but he's got a serious case of cerebral palsy. He's never going to be able to run or kick a ball. Stairs are going to be tough for this kid. You know, he'll be smart, but he's just going to have a lot of physical issues the rest of his life. And he's like, all right, let's get vaccinated, get you guys home. And it's just like this pause of switches flipping in my head. And I said, well, wait a minute, doc, if he's got a neurological disorder, why do we want to put nerve toxic agents like mercury and aluminum and things like directly into his bloodstream right now while he's trying to overcome stuff? And luckily I had a good pediatrician, because most, they browbeat parents and say, oh, you're a baby killer if you don't vaccinate. Now, philosophically, I don't know how, it's probably across the board with chiropractors. Some are pro, some are anti-vax. I don't think those words should even be in our vocabulary. I think it's all about education and free choice. It's a product made by a company. We should be able to decide if we want to put it in our body or our kid's body. I'm a big fan of Del Bigtree, another big hero out there of fighting the fight for us and for parents and freedom of body autonomy. Well, he was awesome, and he said, let's not do that. Let's wait. And I'm driving home with this kid, and I'll probably get choked up right here. I'm driving home with this kid, going, why do I have this kid? I truly believe we all meet each other for a reason on this planet. And we all have the kids that we have for a reason. We're supposed to be their parents. I'm like, why do I have this kid? I don't know what to do with this. And I had this really strong impression that hit me. Oh man, like I said, I get choked up just thinking about it. It hit me so hard. I almost had to pull the car over. And I said, Jay, you know what you got to do for Harrison? You just got to do it and be patient, because it's going to work on his time. Not your time, Jay. Not Shannon, your wife's time, Harrison's time. And I knew what I needed to do was fire up that nervous system, get rid of those subluxations, fire up what I call turn the power on, right? Get the nutrition in him, keep the toxins out, which we started with not doing vaccines, and then be patient, because the body heals over time. It doesn't heal in another number of visits. It doesn't heal in a number of pills that you take. It doesn't heal in a number of times to the gym. It's frequency over time. Firing up that nervous system, freeing it up. Get the nutrition in. And so that's what we did. I adjusted him when I got home, and I remember adjusting his atlas. And I hadn't adjusted him since he was born. I adjusted him when he was born, and then 2 months, I was like, Psh. And when I adjusted his atlas, his eyes came down and started tracking. Now I went, what flip did I just flip here? But it gave me and Shannon some hope that there was something we could do for this kid. And of course, she was nursing. So I'm like, honey, you got to eat good and not have toxins because whatever you're having, he's having. And so that's what we did. And I flew all the way out to Palmer to go to the library and look up, okay, adjusting the cervical spine, affecting intracranial. And I can only find 2 studies. You know that, who's our gal from New Zealand?
Heidi Havik.
Heidi Havik has 250 studies in the last 10 years of when we adjust the cervical spine, how it affects intracranially. How cool is that? I mean, the research is awesome in chiropractic. So the long story short here is it took time, but by the time Harrison was 12 years old, you couldn't tell him from any other kid at school. He should have been wobbling around in a really wonky walk or in a wheelchair. He ran a 5K when he was 9 years old with his mom. And yeah, it's just awesome.
You've made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. This episode is brought to you by Peach State Payments. Ethical processing, more profit, less stress. Chiro HD, more than an EHR. Practice management simplified. The Chiro Speaking Company. Attract, educate, and convert. Chiro Spring, cloud-based, user-friendly software with all the essential features chiropractors need. Redmond Relight. The IFCO. Chiro Moguls. Chiro Health USA. Sherman College of Chiropractic. Pure Chiro Notes, Titronics, and Life West College of Chiropractic. Let's hustle. Hey docs, let me ask you something. Are you adjusting patients but not adjusting your revenue? Because a lot of chiropractors are still undercharging without even realizing it. They're accepting insurance allowances that are just too low. And they're hesitant to raise the fees because they're worried about pushback from patients. The problem is, when your fees and financial systems aren't aligned, it creates a slow leak in your practice. And when you try to grow, more marketing, more patients, maybe even another location, the leak gets bigger. There's actually a smarter way to handle this. Chiro Health USA helps chiropractors charge appropriately when insurance is available while still serving cash or limited benefit patients through a compliant discount medical plan. The results? Many practices see revenue increases around 15 to 20% without adding more visits. Same patients, better margins, more freedom. If you want to stop leaving money on the table and build a practice that's both profitable and compliant, check out chirohealthusa.com to learn more. Well,
Okay.
that, my friend, is the power of chiropractic. It's the power of the adjustment. It's the power of philosophy. It's the power of belief. And, you know, we know that the power that made the body heals the body.
Yep.
And it sounds like kind of a bumper sticker slogan.
Mm-hmm.
But the truth of the matter is that getting adjusted, and this is another bumper sticker. Sometimes I just talk in these things, but when a person gets adjusted, it adds years to life and life to years.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we might think of it as like a corny, like, you know, dad saying or something like that. But when somebody gets adjusted, it adds more quality years to their life and it adds more life to those years. And I think that is a very telltale story about a young man that's near and dear to your heart, which is your son, and about a member of your family, that healing takes time. Like, people say, I tried a chiropractor and I didn't like the way that it felt, or I went one time and I never went back. Well, that is one person that it just takes the right communication paradigm to say, look, I understand how you feel. Chiropractic might have been the wrong fit for you at that moment. But there's always a solution with chiropractic. And I tell people all the time, it's about the relationship you have with somebody. And if you're not getting the care that you think that you should be getting, go find somebody else.
Absolutely. Chiropractic works, man. We don't all resonate with everybody. We can be awesome in our practice, but not everybody's going to like us or resonate with us. Great. Go try it with somebody else. Go find another chiropractor.
But I do think that the story that you shared there is one of those testimonies. And it's one of those miracle stories that if people just knew, if they stuck with care, what the outcome might be for the rest of their life.
Yeah. Well, I just toot his horn all the time. He is 24 and going to college now and doing his thing, and you'd never know. Now, here's the second story that goes with that. When he was just getting to that point, I went to Haiti for a Healing Hands for Haiti group. It was surgeons and stuff that used to go down there and do prosthetics and all this kind of stuff, and then go to the orphanages, because so many kids in the orphanages had cerebral palsy, because down there it's just kids just get thrown away in the dumpster. It's not a Christ-centered or Judeo-Christian or anything kind of. I guess their main religion is voodoo, which is like, oh, this kid's broken. It's garbage. It's just a different way of thinking that some of us can't even comprehend. So there's so many kids who are just picked up out of the garbage and put into orphanages, and then they're just fed mush till they're 12, and then they're pushed out in the street. And so many of them had cerebral palsy. Anyway, I go down there. I'm the first chiropractor to go with this group. And we go to the orphanages, and we're just kind of loving on these kids because they don't get any human touch. And one of them walks over doing this whole waddle with the cerebral palsy, and the eyes are very nystagmus. And I said, hey, I want to adjust this kid. They're like 9 years old or something. Lays down on the table. I adjust Atlas. It just explodes. It's so huge. And the kid, no joke, the arms and legs were all up like this, went completely straight and flat. The eyes came down and started tracking. And the kid's looking around like he's waking up out of a dream that he's been in for the last 9 years. It lasted for about a minute and a half. And then the eyes start going to nystagmus, and the arms and legs kind of tense back up again. And I just look at this kid, because I just saw what Harrison had gone through. He just reached the pinnacle of where he's like, oh, you can't even tell anymore. And I thought, man, I know your healing potential, but we're only here a week. We can't, and not that we heal them. We just remove the nerve interference. Their body does the healing, but sometimes it needs help, and it needs help over time. So that was that second witness I had on that. Cerebral palsy and cerebral palsy. That's what I'm saying with that. So thanks for letting me share those two stories.
Yeah, I mean, the world needs to hear this, and that's just it. Is, like what you're sharing, there's going to be somebody that will listen to this, because I get feedback all the time. I'm like, if I shared the amount of messages that I get from shows that people listen to, and the one thing that they caught that impacted them, like, it's amazing. That's really why, that's the fuel behind me sticking with the show so long, because I know it makes a difference. Nice. So the stories that you're sharing, I'm just a conduit. Like you're saying, I don't heal the profession. I just share the story the way that I know how to. Mm-hmm. And that's the real miracle that I can help work with, is continuously share the story, just share the story, just share the story. And a lot of times, the conduit is the transmission of a podcast. Mm-hmm. So I think that the stories that you're sharing are going to resonate with somebody in our audience, and they're going to say, I didn't know that it could help with cerebral palsy. And the next thing you know, we're going to see people will send messages back. I mean, I'm just sprinkling it in there. People are going to send me messages in the next year or so and say, hey, because I listened to number 784, Jay Shetlin, I took my kid or my niece or my nephew or somebody in the family to the chiropractor because I had cerebral palsy, and I didn't know it could help with that. So thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, you bet.
You're an author, man. How many books have you done?
I've got 8 published so far. I've got a few more in me, but 8 at the moment.
So why did you want to start writing books?
I just felt this is something that flipped a switch in my head from CJ. CJ went into coaching, CJ Mertz, because he wanted to be able to help more people in more communities than just what he could reach in his clinic. And I started thinking, if I can put good messages to paper, then I have a farther reach than what I just can with my mouth or with, in my practice or whatever. And I've really seen that. I bump into people all the time that's like, oh, hey, yeah, I got your personal injury book, or I've got your future health book, and it really helped change our family's life. And it blows my mind, the reach of a book gives you. Yeah.
How long ago was the first book you wrote?
The first one I wrote started in Portugal, finished when I got back. So that was 2007, 2008 is when I finished my first one. That took 4 years. And then after that, I got a coach, and it started taking 6 months or a month or whatever, depending on if it needs a lot of research or not.
So your first book, I just have to ask you some questions because I'm just finishing my first book. What were your hesitations, and what were your, were you ever afraid of doing it?
Yeah, I was nervous of doing it. And I think there's even more fear when you look at things now. I mean, America's such a litigious society. You worry about saying something wrong and it's taken wrong, and then somebody sues you for something, or they blame you for something because people are just so victim thinking sometimes. And I finally just had to go, you know what? My job is to put stuff out there that are going to help people be like all these people that stood up during COVID, saying the truth. And, they got sued or fined or whatever, or lost their jobs. But you got to stand for what you believe in. And I finally just said, I'm just standing up for it. It's just what I got to do.
Yeah, I think that's really good advice when it comes to people that have something to say. I always tell people everybody has a book in them.
For sure.
And I think that people just have to have the courage to do it. And financing a book, like, was that ever like a sticking point for you where like, damn, I have to like pay to have a book published, and then I have to like pay to have like the book hosted, and then all the price and cost that comes along with it. How did you manage that?
There is cost for sure. And so you've got a publisher, which they get 2,500 books pitched a year. They only pick 15, and then they change your stuff. It's harder to do it that way. Then there's the self-publishing where you just cough up the money and do all the hard work. And then there's the hybrid self-publishing, which I recommend, where you find a hybrid self-publishing publisher that you're just turning in your Word document. They're helping create your cover. They're helping it get its ISBN and get it on Amazon and all that stuff, helping you get it to Audible. But then you got to find one you trust, because sometimes everything's a risk, and it's another business road to take. But that seems to be the most cost and time friendly, is something in that mid-range called a hybrid self-publishing publisher.
Really, I mean, honestly, invaluable knowledge for anybody listening. This guy's published 8 books. First one took 4 years. Did you do that hybrid model with the first one?
The first one I did everything the hard way. And I finally found a self-publishing person at the end. And, that first one cost me, I don't know, 10 grand, 14 grand over the course of 4 years, because I just didn't know what I was doing. And now you can, 2,500, 3,500, you can turn around a book pretty quick. Or if you are very specific, I just met a great author group this week where they just eke your book out of you in 5 days. You meet and have a mastermind for a week, and they just have really, but it's like 15, 20 grand. But that one, you want to have a specialty where it can't be your opus of like, this is what I want to give to the world. Like Future Health and The Physician's Guide to Personal Injury. Those were my opuses. I had something to give, to leave for generations of families and chiropractors of how to do something. But if it's, hey, I believe in acupuncture, I believe in peptides, then one of those other ones, they can help you make a book that really helps you be an authority. And the cool thing with that book, and you're right, everybody's got a book in them. A book is the new business card. If you're trying to be an authority in something, you really need to show that you've taken the time to put your thoughts together for a book. And that's what leads to hopefully speaking opportunities, or helps your patients go, wow, our doctor does this, and I can share this with my friends that now want to come find my doctor.
Yeah, I think that it's a vehicle for excellence.
Absolutely.
And I believe that anybody that takes the time to do it, it creates a different, I guess, character within you, that you've done something that most people only dream of doing. And a guy that I really respect, his name's Les Brown. You might have heard of him.
Love Les Brown.
But he would say the greatest ideas in the world, do you know where they live? They live in the graveyard, because people that had the greatest ideas in the world never did anything with them. So that's my moment to acknowledge you for taking the ideas out of you and creating those 2 opuses, and giving knowledge back to the world, because really that is a legacy. And one of the things also is I've been trying to get Jay onto the show for over a year now, and it finally lined up to where we could get him on a podcast episode. So these stories that we curate at Chiro Hustle aren't just by accident. We're very, very focused on creating great content. And you know what? The thing that I haven't done that I think that you just inspired me to do is to create a Chiro Hustle book.
There you go.
And to take these episodes that I've been doing for the past 9 years and to culminate them into some type of a anthology or something, or some type of a book that can share the chiropractic story from the voice of the chiropractors. So
that's a brilliant idea. It's like an updated version of Chicken Soup for the chiropractic soul, only it's Chiro Hustle. It'd be awesome.
There you go. Maybe I'll brand it a little different. I don't know, but I think that it would add more to our brand also if we had a book attached to it that people could download. That they could say, "Hey, you've interviewed Les Brown." Yeah, we have. It's pretty awesome. But I think it's great that people could get a resource that they could, that could live on their coffee table.
Love it.
You do a lot with personal injury. I know that we have to. It's a big part of your life now. Whiplash, personal injury, helping people get healthy. After they've been in some type of auto accident or auto collision. Talk to me about how your life evolved into helping with this sector of the chiropractic space.
Yeah, thanks. I really feel this is an important space because chiropractic has evolved over the last few decades as the leading healthcare providers in personal injury. But it's a med-legal case. And there's a couple of components here I want to address. One is that as a chiropractic physician, when we graduate, we're all legally licensed to treat car crash cases, but that doesn't mean we're good at it. And we don't know, and we can really do some harm. And these cases are medical legal cases. When we don't treat right, or we don't diagnose right, or we don't document right, our patient loses because the attorneys don't have the bullets, the ammunition that we give them to put in their gun to take to court to fight for the patient client. And so if we could pause for a second so I don't offend anybody, I just want you to say, look, we're all can be amazing, but if you look at the medical model, a general practitioner is almost non-existent anymore. It's a dinosaur. Everybody's in group practices, which I recommend, and I think in the next 20 years, that's where chiropractic is going, is we're just going to be in multi-group clinics because it actually allows you business model wise to actually have time off and still get paid, so you can have a vacation with your family, and there's just a lot less stress when you divide up overhead with multiple doctors. They're in group practices and they specialize. They deep dive into one lane and they get good at that. You don't go to a general practitioner for brain surgery. You don't go to a general practitioner for podiatry. You don't go to a brain surgeon for ear, nose, throat. They have their different, they know how to refer to each other because they know everybody's in their own lane. That's not my lane. I know how to refer to that person. We need to do that. We have 43 different diplomates in chiropractic between 8 years of school before we graduate, and then another 3 years for a pediatric chiropractor, or another 3 years for a neurodiplomate chiropractor, or another 3 years for a sports specialist chiropractor. There are a lot of cool lanes that we can pick and be really good at, and personal injury is one of those. They're working on putting together a diplomate, but until then, if you're going to do your personal injury, please, for the love of Pete, please do extra training. And it's always the ones that, this is going to offend somebody, it's always the ones that think they don't need any help that are the ones that usually need help. So get a coach and help yourself in that area. And here's why. We'll use the example. If you were asked about kids, the insurance companies say kids don't get hurt in car accidents, and they just brush it under the rug. And if you're not trained and you're like, wait a minute, car accidents are the number one killer of kids. How is it that they're not getting injured just because they didn't die? You're thinking they have no injuries? Kids are resilient. They hide the symptoms a lot more, and there's anatomical reasons why that I talk about in the book and stuff. But they still have injuries. And when they have those shear force injuries go through their spine, it starts and triggers the degenerative change of arthritis from that point forward. So then they have arthritis in their 20s or 30s. Everybody's like, oh, yeah, they weren't hurt in the crash. Yeah, they were. They just didn't have symptoms. And we're philosophical. We know we don't want to just chase symptoms. We want to remove nerve interference. We want to be moving bones and breaking up scar tissue in those joints, those microscopic joints that are, if they're forming scar tissue, we want to be adjusting them and doing physical therapy and massage, challenging those tissues to lay down healthy parallel tissues after a trauma. Now, here's where the rubber meets the road. It's a physical trauma. It needs physical medicine to rehab. Physical medicines, chiropractic, physical therapy, massage. None of it is a replacement for the other. They all do their own special thing and they work synergistically together. But chiropractic is foundational in auto accident rehab, or we should say personal injury or car crash rehab. We don't want to say accident. What do we do with a car seat? After every car accident, what is the law? To throw that thing away. It's the law to get rid of that car seat and get in them. Why aren't we getting that precious cargo checked by a certified specialist, either a pediatric chiropractor or a certified personal injury chiropractic physician. They're probably working together, those two. They should be referring together because we shouldn't be afraid to refer to each other. Chiropractors need to refer to each other more often. Get our specialty and refer to each other just like the medical doctors do. Did I over dive into that?
No. I think that it's important for people to understand what you're sharing is that accident, collision, trauma should all be checked by a chiropractor. Mm-hmm. And whether it's from the athletic field or whether it's from birth trauma, mm-hmm. or whether it's from a hit and run, or whether it's from a T-bone or a slip and fall, like it's all a chiropractic case. And I think when we come to the personal injury world, you're right. If you do have significant concern, you should be reaching out to somebody that can help guide you and give advice and give care. And really the saddest thing I ever hear is when people say, hey, yeah, we got to check. But I'm like, did you ever get adjusted? Mm-hmm. And they're like, no, they're like, and I'm just being honest. They're like, no, we went to the chiropractor and they just put like these like little electrodes on me. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, so you don't know what a chiropractic adjustment is? And you went to a chiropractor? And they tell me, they're like, yeah, we just went and we'd get the little, shocky things on us, little pads. And they're like, then they asked me, what is a chiropractic adjustment?
Oh my goodness.
So I think it is important for people to get good coaching and good guidance on how to manage cases the right way, to where honestly, the person in front of you is the most important person in the world.
Absolutely.
So when you share your story with me about how people need to get good coaching and they need to have good mentorship and they need to plug into good organizations and good groups, mm-hmm. It's priceless. It's priceless. Because the people in front of you are the most important people in the world. And if you're actually not giving them the quality of care that you would give your mom or your kids, then you're really not doing things the right way. And you got to reevaluate if you're supposed to be doing the job that you've chosen to do. Yeah. And, the Hippocratic Oath is huge. Do no harm. And if you're not actually adjusting, what are you doing as a chiropractor? So that's where I come in. I'm just like, hey, I'm not a watchdog. I'm not going to tell you how to go do your jobs. But look, if I'm out there doing spinal screenings and I ask somebody what their experience was like for chiropractic and they're telling me that they went to a chiropractor before and they say they never got adjusted, that's a red flag for me.
Right.
So what you're saying is, hey, learn, become a specialist, learn how to refer to each other. Yeah, the chiropractic profession is so darn cool. And there's so many great chiropractors out there. And there, like you said earlier, there is no competition in chiropractic. When the American population is maybe 10 to 13% getting adjusted annually, there's a big room for getting the other 87% to 93% of people into chiropractic at that point. So I think that what you're saying is fundamental. And I don't think you overreached at all. I think that maybe we don't talk about it enough.
Yeah. Well, thanks for summing it up that way, James. I think that's important for everybody to hear. We have an amazing profession. We're often misunderstood, but that's because we create confusion. If we're too confused to be able to refer to each other, the public's definitely going to be confused. So we got to simplify. We got to be loving on each other, loving on our community, and just love and serve. And it comes back to us. And just get good at what you're going to do. Get a coach. If you're going to, please don't dabble in personal injury since it's a med legal thing. Get the coaching that you need so that, again, Hippocratic Oath, first do no harm. We can do harm by not having our notes done right. We can do harm by not diagnosing right. We can do harm by not doing an adjustment and just doing ice and E-stem. There are a lot of ways we can do harm, and there are so many ways we can do good. So just do good. Love it.
So if people want to work with you and they want to work in your systems, where do we send them to?
Yeah, whiplashgroup.org. I really do I do this as a labor of love. That most coaches are, $800 to $2,500 a month, but it's an ROI that you're going to get more back. I'm like $297 a month. It's ridiculous. We're like a club. We're just trying to educate each other as a group, so that we've got this great network across the country. We just love and support each other. When we go to our seminars, it's like an education vacation. We try to go to a fun spot and just lift each other up and just have fun in the education, of course. We have a certification program that's not too crazy. I mean, there's 3 different certification programs in personal injury out there. Mine's just 8 hours. Mine's like the intro one. Get your toe in the water. Do I like personal injury or not? Do I understand it enough where if I don't want to do it, I know who to refer to, and then they can refer back to me? For example, if you have a certified specialist in your town and you don't want to go to court, refer over them for they do the exam and x-rays and workup and report and diagnosis, all the documentation they send back for you for care. You send back to them for a final exam and report. They go to court, not you. If you just get bit by the bug, it's like, I love personal injury. This is so fun having to build my notes better and more articulate to like tell the story so that the attorney loves me, because the way I've told the story, they can just sell it in the court. And then the jury and the judge get it to go, yes, this patient was injured. Because 50% of people are never the same after a car accident. Sorry, I jumped around there. Your question was, where do they find us? whiplashgroup.org.
No, I think you packed it in the right way though. Because when I go out and do a spinal screening, I do a sale and I schedule people in, and I tell them, we have to charge you something, but
Absolutely.
I'm basically giving it to you for free. We just want you to show up. And it sounds the same thing that you're doing for the $297 a month is you're basically giving it to people for free. You just want them to show up.
Yeah.
And then as I get them to sign up and they commit, I say, just promise you one thing. You'll show up so we can help you.
That's awesome.
And I think it's the same way for you. And just show up so Jay can help you.
Please, let's help each other. Let's help our communities. Let's help our profession. But we got to rub elbows to do that.
And that's why I'm thankful you took the opportunity to jump on Chiro Hustle Podcast. I hope that the episode was fulfilling for you. I know that we shared a lot of heart and soul on today's show. I appreciate you talking so deeply about your mentors and your personal story about your child. I think there's so many great takeaways from today's episode, talking about publishing books, talking about becoming a specialist, talking about living abroad and practicing abroad, and staying committed to the message of chiropractic. I think was really the big takeaway for me. And it was really inspiring to hear you talk about how you've been going back to Parker for 26 years. And you went to Palmer, and I think it's really cool to hear about how you picked your college and what it meant for you to go to the Fountainhead. And I think there's a lot of great resources for people today that we talked about. But number one resource for people to go check out is whiplashgroup.org. Join Jay's coaching, link arms with him, let him be your mentor. And maybe I'll interview you someday and you can tell me that Jay Shetlin was one of your mentors. Is there anything I didn't ask you that you wanted to leave us off with?
No, I think we covered a lot of great stuff. James, seriously, thanks for all you do.
Yeah, well, I will close out like I always do. And this is episode 784 of the Chiro Hustle Podcast. You guys are just one story away. Keep hustling. I'll see you guys on the next episode. Bye for now.
Thanks for listening to Chiro Hustle. Don't forget to subscribe and check back next week to continue hustling.